is the Meghan and Alex show. Budding.
Alrighty, well, welcome to Ep.1 of the Meghan and Alex show. My name is Alex.
And my name is Meghan.
And that's Meghan. Meghan
Hi.
and her singing. Today we're going to be talking about our recent trip to Disney World and what it's like to travel during COVID, and especially going to a big place, big theme park like Disney World during COVID.
I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about how things go over there and like what the regulations are and everything, and just questions in general.
Yeah, when I told my family that I was going to be taking a trip to Disney World, they're like, they're open. You're going to go to Disney World during a pandemic, which is something that we're going to kind of touch on in this podcast. A little bit of background. Meghan and I are boyfriend and girlfriend. Mm-hmm. We've been dating for close to 6 years now, and Disney trips to us are kind of like a fun bonding moment. We love to go to Disneyland here in California, where we're from, and we got this chance to go out to Disney World with our family and have a fun little vacation for Meghan's birthday recently. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about this trip from the past week.
I think that traveling for us is just something that's always been something that has really bonded us and brought us closer together. And I think that people kind of know us for like traveling and just doing all that kind of stuff. So they have a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions from my Instagram from people that follow me about Disney World and COVID and whatnot. So I think we're just going to get into some of those.
Yeah, we'll answer some questions.
Yeah. But I think the first questions are a little bit lighthearted and more about snacking, which is something I think is on everybody's minds.
Snacks, a lot of snacks at Disney.
Disney is all about snacks. I don't know if y'all know about the snack culture at Disneyland and Disney World, but it's definitely big. There's just a ton of different sweets and just like foods in general, themed restaurants, all that kind of stuff. And I think people are very interested in it.
Yes.
So we're going to go ahead and get started with the first question, which is, what is the best snack there?
Ooh, the best snack.
And this is very broad. You got to really think about this because there's savory, there's sweet.
Especially when we think about this question, like it's Disney World and there's not just the one or two theme parks.
Yeah, Disney World as opposed to Disneyland. You could take it either way, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we're talking about our recent trip with Disney World, like Epcot has so many different foods to offer. Not to mention that when we went for this past trip, they were doing the Garden and Food Festival, which brings even more snacks than they already have. And there were a lot of options, a lot of small plate snacks.
If y'all don't know, Epcot is really just all about food. Like that's literally the park for food.
Food paradise. Okay, so for me, best snack.
I hope you don't take mine.
I think the one that I think I know what she's gonna say, and I think it was probably mine too. We had these ice cream sandwiches.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we had these ice cream sandwiches that are made in a brioche bun. So you order this, you order your flavor of ice cream, and they press it into a warm brioche bun, and they put like a sauce of your choosing, like chocolate sauce, caramel sauce, white chocolate sauce, and there's something yeah.
It's not like a regular ice cream sandwich. It's like the most decadent thing, but it's so good, and it was warm, and it was just like the perfect snack.
Yeah, it's good. This is something that you can't really get, from my understanding, anywhere else.
It's
I'm
definitely
actually going to look it up, and so I can tell you what it was called right now.
But in the meantime, I will talk about one of the snacks that I think is the best. And you know what? I'm going to talk about something a little bit more universal that you could get at Disney World or Disneyland, and I think is highly underrated.
What is it?
Some popcorn.
Ooh.
This entire trip, all I wanted was some freaking popcorn. I just wanted the popcorn in a little bucket, and I wanted to carry it around, and that's what I wanted. And I got it, and it was great.
Can't go wrong with popcorn. Popcorn's everywhere. Popcorn and pretzels. They're
popcorn
everywhere.
And pretzels.
They're everywhere.
If I got to go first, I probably would have said the ice cream sandwiches, definitely. The popcorn was obviously really good, a nice little bonus, but these ice cream sandwiches were everything.
There's so much though. I finally found what this is called. So this is from a little tiny spot in Epcot. It's honestly kind of hard to find.
It's actually in France, so it's kind of
In
tucked
France,
away.
in Epcot, and it's called Artisan de Glace. It's a little French.
Hopefully we're not butchering
Yeah,
that.
we're probably saying it wrong.
I took French for 5 years and I still don't know how to say it.
16 flavors handcrafted from scratch is what it says online. They make these little sandwiches, these tiny little brioche ice cream sandwiches, and they are something else. It's really weird to have a brioche bun, which you'd be expecting like a burger or a chicken sandwich or something like that, but there's ice cream in there.
Yeah,
and
it's
really
definitely an interesting dessert, and it's something that everybody needs to go try.
Yeah, so that's my favorite snack. Took me a second to pull it up there, but that'd be my go-to.
But I think that the people really want to know.
What do they really want to know?
Dole Whip or churros?
Dole Whip or churros? If you don't know what the Dole Whip is, if you've never been to Disneyland, it's like this soft serve pineapple ice cream, which is usually found over there by the Tiki Lounge, the Tiki.
Yeah, it's usually around
Tiki Bar, Jungle Cruise area. Mm-hmm. If I had to pick one of those two, I would probably go for the churro.
We know it's going to be the churro.
Naturally, the churro. I like cinnamon and I like sugar.
He loves a lot of sugar.
And the warmth of the churro. I love ice cream, but and the Dole Whip is good. I know Megan's gonna say that that's to die for.
I'm just not really a churro gal, but I will say Disney does outdo themselves with a good churro. So I do understand where you're coming from, but the Dole Whip is where it's at.
Churros is good. The nice thing is with the churros, because the Dole Whip is kind of just, it's one thing. You can only really get one.
Yeah, it's like a one and done, but you could get
with the churros
a ton of different churros.
There are bajillion different churros
and
at
like
Disney.
Everywhere.
And they have really exotic like bacon chocolate churros and like really crazy churro flavors. So that is kind of one fun thing that you can do with both Disneyland and Disney World.
You can taste all the churros.
Try them all, yeah.
But the Dole Whip does get an honorable mention for sure.
Definitely.
So the people also want to know, what is the one thing that you must do every time that you go to Disney? So this can be either Disneyland or Disney World, or you could answer for both.
Well, I mean, we've only been to Disney World one other time before, and I think if we're talking Disney World, they do have different rides there than you would find at Disneyland. So like one fun thing is, for me at least when I think about this, would be Toy Story Land, which...
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
No, I think Megan thought I would say like Star Wars or...
No, I thought that you were going to...
Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror.
Tower of Terror is different at Disney World. It is still Tower of Terror and not Guardians of the Galaxy like it is at California Adventure. But if I were to pick something that I would have to do while at Disney World, I would say Toy Story Land, because it's something different. I'd say pretty much I'd say probably any different ride that you can't get at Disneyland. And that might just be tailored to us since we're, Californians and we
so
have
used to Disneyland.
But I mean, for one, like the park Animal Kingdom is something else. It's incredible what they've done with how they have made that park.
That's what I was gonna say. I think that like Animal Kingdom, for me, I'm really big into animals. I know that Alex is too, but that's just like something that you can't see anywhere. Like it's literally like a nice zoo, a nice aquarium,
Yeah, it's huge. It's
in a Disney theme park. Like I just think that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean Disney definitely knows how to bring that, special, obviously the Disney magic to it. And while it is, essentially a giant zoo with a couple of rides, Disney knows how to transport you, and
they know how to treat their animals.
They do, yeah. They treat their animals really good, at least from what we're told and what we can see. The rides at Disney's Animal Kingdom are like they have this safari ride where you can go and see all the animals, and it's just this huge space, obviously.
But they really cater to like the animals' needs, and it's not about just the people at Disney.
Yeah, they're not obviously doing tricks or anything
World.
for you. They're rehabilitating these animals.
Yeah, so I think that's really awesome, and I think that that's something from Disney World that we could both agree is you can't miss it.
Yeah, you can't miss it. I mean, Disney World is such a big, trip for people. It's like that's such a,
Well, and
you
it's
know,
so different from Disneyland. I mean, I think that a lot of people don't know. At least we didn't know before we went that it was 4 separate
yeah. I mean, the
parks.
first time that we went, we were really kind of overwhelmed with how much there was to do, and how big these parks really are. I mean, you have to take shuttles to get in between the parks, as opposed to walking a block between the two
Yeah.
parks in California.
I mean, for us, like we said, we're so used to Disneyland and like just how it is in California, and we're so used to being able to just like park hop so easily. So it's really interesting to go to Disney World and learn all of this new stuff and like kind of, become well versed in it. But I think that's why we just like it so much, and we just like to be there, and we like to see all the different things. And I think that there's a lot of
Hmm.
different things that you can get at Disney World that a lot of people aren't used to.
Yeah, I mean, like for the first time that we went, going to Disney World, we stayed at the Animal Kingdom Resort, and that's obviously anytime you stay on a Disney property, it's something really magical, and the obviously the parks are cool, but they really know how to theme their
Oh,
hotels.
there's nothing like a Disney hotel.
Yeah, it's totally worth it if you can ever stay at one, and they give they send you out the what Disney calls their magic bands, which is basically your ticket and your room key, and it can be your payment method if you want it to be, and that alone, like the experience of being shipped this little box of these wristbands that are they're so magical. They just you walk up to the
Magic all the way down to your
yeah,
wrists.
you walk up to the park and you just tap your wrist and it makes this little bling sound, and
It's the
you
Disney
yeah,
magic.
that's it. I mean, it's so simple. You walk right in and you're just having a fun time.
Well, so what's one thing that you want to always do in Disneyland?
One thing
Because this
if
is hard for me to think about.
in Disneyland, if I was gonna pick
Or like
one,
California Adventure, like just California Disney, I guess.
I think well, the one thing that I really want to do that I haven't done would be like they have the new Star Wars land at both theme parks, and definitely I would want to ride the new Rise of the Resistance ride, which we weren't able to ride uh, this past time, which was it wasn't open the first time we went to Disney World, and we haven't been back to Disneyland to give that one a shot. It hasn't been open with the pandemic, um, and I'd say giving that ride a shot would probably be something I would really want to do,
Yeah.
and I would probably bet that it would be the answer to this question as to what is the one thing I would want to do.
You
I
think?
think so.
How would you know?
I can't, but it looks so cool.
Well, I'll answer for me. I mean, I think that for me, like, I've been going to Disneyland ever since I've been a kid. And so,
Same.
like, for me, it's always just been like, there's certain things that I just always feel like I have to do. But I feel like the one thing that I really feel like I have to do is I feel like I always have to stay up from rope drop until the park closes every single day that I'm there and just like literally ride every single thing that I can.
So you're picking like something that you like, not a ride, but
No, not specific. Like, there's not
something
a
that you
specific ride that I like feel like I have to do, but it's more that I just feel like I need to be there the entire time.
yeah, definitely. Disney, when you do Disneyland or Disney World, it's definitely you are
Like,
awake early
I want to be
and
exhausted.
you are walking around for miles.
I want like 30,000 steps in.
We walked. I think one of our days we hit like 9+ miles
It's pretty
in a
crazy.
day, which obviously like is way more than your average.
You got to work off those Disney snacks, you know?
Yep, the snacks. You got to work off the snacks. You're gonna be eating snacks.
And the restaurants there. You can't even get me started on the restaurants.
Restaurants are
So,
incredible. Maybe we'll chat about some of the restaurants.
yeah. But let's get a little bit more into COVID and just like the protocols with that and what our experience traveling and going to Disneyland was like it easier or harder for us basically.
Yeah, I mean the traveling during the pandemic is different, of course, than normal. Um, the masks have been a thing for a long time, as well as the social distancing, and I think there's probably not many companies like Disney that really handle it well. Disney has place markers pretty much for everything, literally everything there. for every restaurant, for every photo opportunity, for every walkway.
Yeah. And
And
I
it
mean, I think that some of the mandates have changed since we were last there, even. But for us, I mean, the mask rule was so enforced. Like, if any kind of person
definitely,
saw you without your mask, like, you were told to pull it up right away, you
yeah,
know?
we were walking to a ride, and there was a guy trying to take a photo of his girlfriend, and he told her, take your mask off real quick, and
They're like, real quick, real
yeah,
quick.
yeah, thinking that they would be slick enough to, quick enough to get the photo without the mask, and
And
a
I swear,
Disney employee was quick, and
they're
he
always
he
watching.
came over and was like, "Hey, you got to have the mask on," and the guy was like, "But really,
Even
just
for a
for
picture,
a photo?" And they're serious about it, and I think it's good. They have to, when you
yeah, as
have
they should.
guests coming from all over. I think for the health and safety of the people that are visiting the parks, as well as their own employees, they kind of have to enforce that stuff. So,
Yeah,
which is good. It makes the going to a place like that where it has that feeling of, oh, maybe it might not be,
the
safe or
safest
clean. It really gives you that kind of
sense of
reassurance, yeah,
security.
that sense of security that you're gonna be fine, if as long as people follow the rules and
I
they're
mean, we
enforcing the
felt
rules.
we
So
felt safe. Like, there was not one moment where I was like, "Ew, I feel disgusting."
yeah, no, I
Like,
mean
I shouldn't be here.
they had like plexiglass, when you're standing next to somebody, and there was hand sanitizer pretty much everywhere. I mean, I was hand sanitizing every like 2 minutes. Um, yeah, so I mean, I think Disney World does a really good job.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really say. Obviously, Disneyland isn't open, so we can't really say anything about that.
I'm sure they'll do the same
The
kind
same
of
kind of thing.
cleanliness. I mean, I can only imagine the amount of people and time that it takes to lay down all these markers and
Yeah.
make these changes to the parks.
But just from our experience, like just from going to Disney World, it did feel very safe.
Yeah.
And in regards to easier or harder, I mean, I don't think it was necessarily like harder by any means.
No, I mean,
But I mean,
it's a nice time to go. I mean, obviously things are slowly progressing for the better, which is great. But with the limited capacity that they have, rides that are normally, hour long waits took maybe 20 minutes, thanks
right.
to there being less capacity, which, who would say no to waiting less time for a ride?
Well, and it was interesting at first because when we were booking our trip, we had seen that you had to reserve a park. And so you would go to one park in the morning.
Yeah, you would have to start your day at a specific park, and only specific parks of the four were available.
Yeah.
So if let's say you wanted to go to Hollywood Studios on Tuesday, but that,
It
for
might
us,
have been
which,
fully booked.
right, so for us, that's what happened. That park wasn't available, so we had to start our day at Epcot, two of the
Two
few
out of the
days
4 days.
that we were there. So, that does kind of make it a little bit difficult if you wanted to go on more rides in a specific park, but
But I mean, luckily you are able to park hop after 2 p.m. And I mean, that was something that kind of caught us off guard for one, but also made us be like, ooh, like, is this going to be, like, is this going to be good?
yeah, I mean, I think like maybe that turns people away when they think about, is this going to be the right time to go? Are we going to be able to do everything we want?
Yeah.
And if it does, I mean, I guess, it's a bummer, but obviously things will eventually reopen up
But I
and
mean,
be more open.
honestly, like, I didn't think that, like, I was worried, I was skeptical at first, but I didn't think that it was going to be, as good as it was. Like, it felt, we still got a ton of stuff done.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of rides that we were still
And
able
I almost don't
to
want to say that because I almost don't want more people to go.
yeah, kind of keep it a secret and go
Yeah, shh,
back.
don't tell.
But yeah, things will open up. But definitely, like, it was a great time going. There was really not that many people. We were able to get photos in areas that are normally packed, which, anytime you go to a theme park in general, it's like there's always like some photo spot that is crowded with people,
Yeah.
and you try and take a photo, and it's just there's a billion
A
people in
billion people in the
the background
background.
of your photos, and there were moments during this trip where we could take photos with nobody in the background, which is so surreal.
Yeah, I mean, like, we have pictures. Everybody knows, like, the classic castle pictures. And, like, we literally have pictures with zero people in the background. And I don't think that we could have ever gotten those.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely a weird thing, but a good weird thing.
Yeah.
But
But
yeah, other than that, I mean, traveling in general during the pandemic, we've traveled a few times, not to a theme park during the past year,
yeah,
and it has slowly, in my opinion, I think gotten better. When we first went, it was definitely like we traveled out to North Carolina, which is where Megan's parents live, and we went during the I would say probably the beginning, the height of the
I
pandemic.
don't know if it was the height. I
Maybe
think
not the height,
it
but
was like during the summer, last summer. So it was like a little bit, it was still very intense, and it was, something that was like up in the air if we were gonna do or not.
yeah, and it was definitely, I think at that time, way more of a like, hey, should we really be traveling
Yeah,
right
like is
now?
this
But
safe?
with everything being closed and school being online, and we were both out of work, um, kind of gave us the opportunity to do that travel that we
And
normally wouldn't have
to be
time to
real, we
do.
were both very sad being home, as I think a lot of us were
Yeah, I mean,
and
you're sitting
are.
at home during a pandemic, and you're not really, your day just kind of feels repetitive
We were
every
in
single
Groundhog
day.
Day.
Yeah, it was every day was the same, and so it was nice to travel. But I think then the travel definitely seemed a little bit scarier.
Yeah.
But travel in general, I think like the airlines and the airports do a really good job of keeping it clean. Just honestly, kind of like how Disney does. They have
Yeah.
place markers and plexiglass when needed, and um, the airline that we took left space in between rows and seats, so you
Yeah.
weren't sitting with a random person.
I
And
think that makes the biggest difference for sure.
yeah, it definitely makes it feel a lot more safe when you don't have to feel like you're,
Next to somebody that
crammed
you
into
don't
this
know.
this little plane with a bunch of people. But traveling during, I mean, obviously we're not going anywhere, out of the United States, which
No.
would make a big difference for some people that I know
Right.
do that kind of travel. But traveling within the United States was good. I think it was, well worth the little, escape from the day to day reality that I know a lot of people went through
Yeah.
during the pandemic.
It's
So
definitely controversial. And I mean, like
yeah,
we were scared.
yeah, people, like trying to talk, tell work, even though I wasn't going into my physical, work location, but telling work like, hey, I'm gonna be taking some time away to try and, just get a change of pace.
Yeah.
Was kind of daunting, having to say like, hey, I'm gonna travel and
During this
and
pandemic.
not have them feel that it was,
Unsafe.
unsafe or a bad thing to do.
But
And
at the end of the day, you really just have to do what's the best for yourself.
yeah, and of course, did it and had no issues. Came back. People
Luckily.
people ask, "Oh, what's it like?" And it's like, thankfully, when you read up on what you're
Yeah.
doing and you know how to do it safely, um, it was a
It's a great
good
experience.
time to go because there was less people and like yeah, things are closed, but you do takeout and
Well, in
yeah.
our case, we just hung out with family. So it wasn't like
Yeah, it was nice. Not obviously we're not going
we
to
weren't like
any
vacationing.
big vacation party or anything, but
No.
get away from the day-to-day life. So,
Well, to bring this back to Disney, I think that we should close out on a final little question here of your favorite memory I want to say from Disneyland.
okay, so we're going to switch it over to
Yeah,
Disneyland.
because I just want to hear your favorite or like Disney memory, just like anything that you can think of.
I think for me, my favorite memory would have to be years back. I mean, like we said before, we would go to Disneyland. We were going maybe 2 or 3 times a year in some years, and
Yeah.
um, we had one year where we got to stay at oh boy, what's that
The
resort?
Grand
The
Californian.
Grand Californian Resort, which
It's in
is
California Adventure,
a
technically.
beautiful resort, and they have direct access to the parks, so you don't have to go
Which is
through the front. Yeah,
so nice.
that is incredible. Being able to just
Walk
walk
right
out of your
onto
hotel
the.
and walk into the
It's
park from
crazy.
what feels like this exclusive secret entrance. But I think that would probably be my favorite memory, given that we just it was a really fun time. We don't normally get to stay at a nice big fancy resort like that, and
And that was only like a day trip,
and it
too.
was only a short trip. I can't remember, was that a birthday?
I think it was for my
I
birthday.
think it was Megan's birthday, and we had called down to the front in the morning, and they brought breakfast for the
And
birthday and
cupcakes.
cupcakes, which of course, when we talk about that Disney magic,
Yeah,
like,
it's just one of those things.
you know,
Like,
and yeah, that was a really fun trip, really fun time, you know, and a great bonding moment for Megan and I, and yeah, that was really
a
cool.
good memory.
Good memory.
You want to hear mine?
Yes.
My favorite memory, contrary to popular belief,
Mm-hmm.
is when we decided to take a spontaneous trip.
Yes.
And let me tell the people,
Yes. Tell the people how unspontaneous.
I am very
You are.
unspontaneous. I am a planner to a T, where Alex is not.
No, I can say let's go on a trip right now, end the podcast, and go now.
And he would go and he'd be fine.
I would
But
go.
I'm
Totally
not.
fine. No planning.
That's not me. And so we decided, you know, very last minute, the day of, to take a trip to Disneyland in February.
We said, hey, I told Megan, I said, do you want to go to Disneyland? And this was, you know, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, like late morning for sure.
And Megan's like, you know, I was kind of joking, but also serious. And Megan looks at me and she
Something
goes,
possessed me that day.
she said, yeah, I'm down. And it was weird. And
Something possessed me.
And we
But
packed our bags.
Little did I know. Little did
you know.
The awful
Yes,
drive.
The drive.
We got stuck in the snow on the Grapevine, basically.
Yes, the Grapevine in California, going down Highway 5 to get to Disneyland. There's that valley that can either get crazy hot or it can be crazy
120
cold.
degrees or snowing.
So what normally is a trip that takes us about
6 hours,
I mean,
maybe 5.5.
5 hours on a good drive.
Okay.
You know, when
When
I'm
you're
driving
speeding
fast, turned into about I kid you not,
like
I
double
think
that.
it was a 10 to
12 hour?
to a 12-hour drive.
And we were planning, so we had planned to leave, we left where we are at like, I think like 12 o'clock, 12 p.m. maybe, 1 p.m. maybe. And we didn't get there.
Yeah, we had told ourselves we're gonna leave now. This is great. We'll get there, around 6
dinner
o'clock.
time.
We'll get dinner. We'll check into our hotel
Go
that
to
we
bed.
had quickly booked, and
Yeah.
and we'd be bright and
In the
refreshed for
parks.
the park the next day. And man,
We were wrong.
we were definitely wrong, and I did not have a car that was prepared for snow. So we went down, and the drive we had to take a detour, and that detour took us to another detour, and I went the wrong way, I think, at one point, which doesn't help in adding to our 12-hour long trip.
But
Eventually we got there. I think when we got there it was like 1 in the morning.
I think it was like 3 in the morning.
No, it was like 1 or 2.
It was crazy.
And we were worried because we called the hotel being like, are we gonna like be able to get into
Like,
our
are we
room?
good?
Or like, we're gonna be there very, very, very late, and we just want to make sure that we'll have a place to stay. And they thankfully were like, yeah, come on by, we'll have somebody there waiting.
And I mean, at this point, the planner in me was screaming.
Yeah,
Screaming.
That probably made Megan, rethink
The entire. This is why
rethink
I don't do spontaneous things.
right. But
Exactly. But
one of the best memories.
one of the best memories.
Right.
Because the next day in the parks, while I was so tired, it was just one of the best trips we ever had.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you why, but it just was. And then we went home that night.
Yeah, it was a really good trip. That was a fun trip. My dad had called the day that we were in the park the next day, and me and my dad, we chat, and he goes, "What are you up to?" And I told him, like, we're in Disneyland. And he was like, "What do you mean you're in Disneyland?" It was such a weird. Normally we tell him, "Hey, we're going to be going to Disneyland next week. It's all planned out."
Well,
and
obviously. I mean,
so this being a spontaneous trip, man, it threw my dad off, and he was like, "Oh."
I think it threw everybody off because everybody knows that is not my jam. But it was a good memory, and I'm glad that we have these good memories together.
Yes.
So that way we can make a podcast all about Disneyland and Disney World.
And our memories.
And traveling.
And traveling and everything that we do.
But I think that's where we should end off.
All right. So that's going to be the end of our podcast, episode 1. Who knows? Maybe there will be an episode 2. Maybe after another fun excursion.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for listening to our podcast. And we look forward to chatting for you again soon.
Bye.
All right, bye.